Welcome to the complex yet captivating story of Egyptian mythology. Before we dive in, let's clear up a little confusion, because if you start hearing about two different gods born at the beginning, you're definitely not alone in your confusion. One version says that the god Adam, the creative force, was the first to emerge from the chaos. Another version has Ra coming forth first, rising from a lotus and bringing light to the world. So, who was really born first? That's a classic Egyptian question, with no single correct answer. If you'd ask the ancient Egyptians, they'd probably tell you it depends on who you ask and in which city. Yep, they knew how to keep things mysterious. Now let's dive into the story and let you decide which god came first, or just enjoy the beautiful chaos. In the beginning, there was nothing, just an immense chaotic expanse of primal waters. From this vast, swirling ocean emerged the Benben, a sacred pyramid-like mound, a symbol of creation breaking through the formless depths. Upon this mound, a lotus flower blossomed, and from its petals, the god Ra was born. As Ra came into existence, he brought with him the first light, illuminating the dark, chaotic void. Ra, the supreme god of creation, generated the earliest divine beings. From him came Shu, the god of air, and Tefnut, the goddess of moisture and rain. The universe was still an endless mass of primordial waters, so Shu and Tefnut dove into its vastness, exploring the endless depths. Ra, however, grew anxious for their return, fearing he might lose them forever. To ensure their safety, he sent his most trusted messenger to seek them out. When Shu and Tefnut finally returned, Ra's relief and joy were so profound that his tears fell, giving life to the first human beings. In turn, Shu and Tefnut gave birth to Geb, the god of the earth, and Nut, the goddess of the sky, completing the basic elements of the cosmos. Together, these deities shaped the world as the Egyptians knew it, the land and sky, bonded yet separated, providing a place for all living beings. As the architect of creation, Ra ruled over this newly formed universe with unparalleled power, earning the title of Egypt's first pharaoh. In his generosity, he gifted Egypt with sacred animals like the ox and the lion, but his most treasured gift was the Nile River. Along its banks, a great civilization would rise, paying homage to the gods. Yet, Ra foresaw a challenge. His grandchildren would eventually give birth to gods destined to disrupt his rule. To prevent this, he forbade Nut and Geb from producing offspring. Defying this command, Nut and Geb brought forth powerful children, Isis, Nephthys, Seth, and Osiris. This new generation of gods ultimately dethroned Ra, with Osiris becoming the ruler of the world. Yet the peace was short-lived, as Osiris's brother Seth coveted the throne and sought the power for himself. After taking over Ra's dominion, Osiris initiated a reign of abundance and knowledge, bringing civilization to the people, who had lived in primitive conditions. He taught humanity essential skills like agriculture, weaving, and baking bread, and he established the first laws to bring order to a chaotic world. Under Osiris's wise rule, Egyptian society began to flourish. But Osiris's brother Seth lorded over the desolate desert lands, and jealousy gnawed at him. He resented his brother's fertile and prosperous kingdom and plotted his downfall. After Osiris had an affair with Seth's wife Nephthys, who bore him a son, Anubis, the god of the dead, Seth's desire for revenge was ignited. He hosted a grand feast for Osiris and, as part of his scheme, presented a magnificent coffin that he promised to give to anyone who could fit inside it perfectly. Osiris, unwittingly trusting his brother, lay in the coffin. Seth immediately sealed it and cast it into the Nile, where Osiris drowned. Devastated, Isis, Osiris's wife, mourned deeply, and her tears flooded the Nile, causing the river's annual inundation. She, along with her sister Nephthys, searched tirelessly for Osiris's body. When Isis finally located it, she attempted to keep it hidden, but Seth discovered it nonetheless, tearing Osiris's body into 42 pieces and scattering them across Egypt. With Anubis's assistance, Isis recovered the pieces and, using her divine powers, resurrected Osiris. However, he could no longer reside in the realm of the living, and instead took his place as the ruler of the underworld. Osiris and Isis had a son, Horus, who vowed to reclaim his father's throne from Seth. Thus began the epic conflict between Horus, the falcon-headed god, and his uncle Seth. The gods convened in a celestial court presided over by Ra to determine the rightful ruler. Despite Seth's attempts to prove his worthiness, claiming his loyalty for protecting Ra's solar bark against the serpent Apophis, the court leaned in favor of Horus. The rivalry culminated in a series of fierce battles, with Seth challenging Horus to a contest in which they both transformed into hippos and stayed submerged in the Nile for 3 months. Horus relied on his mother Isis to seize this opportunity to strike Seth. However, she hesitated, feeling a momentary sympathy for Seth, which infuriated Horus, leading him to attack his mother in a rage. Thoth, the god of wisdom, intervened, restoring Isis by replacing her head with that of a cow. The battles raged for years, with Horus and Seth's clash culminating in the desert, where Seth gouged out Horus's eye. Hathor, the goddess of love, healed Horus, restoring his sight. The court finally decreed Horus as the rightful ruler, and he ascended to the throne, bringing an end to Seth's chaotic reign. Horus ruled over Egypt, marking the start of a golden age. The pharaohs who would later govern Egypt were seen as his earthly descendants. Ra, meanwhile, grew weary and withdrew to the heavens, passing his duties on to future gods. He embarked on a journey across the skies each day, illuminating the world, and every night descended to the underworld. There he faced Apophis, the embodiment of chaos, who tried each night to swallow Ra's sunboat and extinguish its light. On one occasion, Apophis succeeded in swallowing Ra, causing a solar eclipse, but was ultimately forced to release him. Seth, who joined Ra on his nightly journey after being dethroned, now protected him from Apophis, defending the cosmic order he once threatened. In Egyptian mythology, Ra remained a revered deity, particularly in Heliopolis, where he was honored as the supreme god of creation and light. Egyptian religion merged Ra's identity with other great deities, leading to titles like Amun-Ra and Atum-Ra, highlighting Ra's central place in the pantheon. The god Anubis, the jackal-headed deity, became known as the protector of tombs and guide to the afterlife. His role evolved over time, becoming associated with Osiris, the new lord of the underworld. Priests often donned jackal masks during mummification rituals in his honor, reinforcing his guardianship over the dead. Bastet, the cat goddess, was adored as the fierce protector against snakes and as a nurturing figure. Cats, sacred animals in Egypt, were mummified and buried in dedicated cemeteries. Known for safeguarding households and embodying 9 lives, Bastet was worshipped throughout Egypt, embodying the enduring strength and grace of felines.
That's it for now, friends. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Egyptian mythology. If you enjoyed the video or found it insightful, I'd appreciate it if you gave it a like, shared it, and subscribed so you don't miss any of the fascinating stories to come. See you in the next video.